Number 3 and 4 say to solve each equation for y. So here I'm just trying to get y alone. Right now I have a 4x on this side and a negative 2 attached to the y. So let's deal with the 4x first. It's a positive 4x. I need to subtract 4x from both sides in order to get rid of it because 4x minus 4x is 0. And I'm left with negative 2y equals negative 4x minus 24. I cannot combine those because this has an x and negative 24 doesn't. So I'm left with this. Right now there's a negative 2 attached to y by multiplication. So in order to get rid of that negative 2, I need to divide out negative 2. And I have to do it to every term to be fair. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1y. So we have y alone equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2x. And then negative 24 divided by negative 2 is positive 12. I have y alone. Number 4, again I need to get this y alone. I have a 4 attached to it and an x subtracted from it. So to get rid of that x, since it's subtracted, I'm going to add x to both sides. Because negative x plus x is 0. So I'm left with only 4y equals x plus 16. The 4 is being multiplied to y, so I'm going to divide out 4 to every term. 4 divided by 4 is 1y. And here I have an invisible 1 in front of the x, so I'm going to write it as 1/4 x. And then plus 16 divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And the reason I have it in this form is we're getting it in slope-intercept form for y equals mx plus b. So a number with the x and then plus a different number. Here m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. For number 5, we're supposed to solve by substitution. Right now I have a variable isolated, which is really helpful. So I have y equals x plus 10. Whenever you have a letter equals something, circle that. That means this variable is isolated and I get to use it in substitution. So x plus 10 is going to be substituted in for y in our first equation. I'm going to rewrite it down here so I have more room to work. And I have x plus y. I'm going to take out the y, and that leaves a hole because I'm doing substitution with that y. I know that y is x plus 10. So I'm going to substitute in x plus 10 in place of y. And that equals 14. Now I can combine like terms. X plus x, that's 2x, plus 10 equals 14. Now I'm trying to solve for x alone. I have a plus 10, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. 10 minus 10, 0. 14 minus 10 is 4. And I'm left with 2x over here. I have a 2 attached to the x by multiplication, so I do the opposite. I divide out 2 to both sides. And x is 2. Now I'm not done yet. I still need to solve for y, and I know that y is x plus 10. I'm going to use that because now I know that x is 2. So I can do y equals x, which is 2, plus 10, y equals 12. And the final step is to write the answer as a point, x comma y. X is 2, y is 12. So your answer, where those two lines intersect, is 2, 12. Number 6. Again, we're solving by substitution. This one is not as easy because there isn't a variable isolated like there was over here. I'm going to have to do the isolating. So I like to find a letter that doesn't have a number in front, so I can use this x, this y, or that y. If there's a number in front, it just makes it a little trickier. So how about I take this second equation, x plus y equals 1. I'm going to isolate it and solve for x. You can solve for x or y, it really doesn't matter. I'll just solve for x here. So I have a plus y added on. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract y from both sides because y minus y is 0. So I'm left with just x equals 1 minus y. This is good. I have a variable isolated now. Remember when I said you have a letter and an equal sign, you circle whatever's left and you substitute that in for this variable in the other equation. So my other equation is 2x plus y equals 7. This gets to be substituted in as x into this equation. So 2 times x, I'm going to take out the x and that leaves a hole, plus y equals 7. In place of x, I'm going to put in this, 1 minus y, because that is x. And now I need to solve by distributing. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times negative y is negative 2y plus y equals 7. I can combine some like terms. Negative 2y plus y, that's negative 1y. And I still have the 2 over here, equals 7. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Negative y equals 5. But I need to get rid of this negative 1. And in order to do that, I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative y is a positive 1y. And 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So I have what y is. Y is negative 5. When I have a variable and an equal sign, I use whatever's left over here, circle that. This is going to be plugged in as y. So draw an arrow up here to solve for x. X equals 1 minus y. And in this case, y is negative 5. So 1 minus negative 5 becomes 1 plus 5, so x is 6. And I write my final answer as a point. 6 is my x value, negative 5 is my y value. These are supposed to be on the previous page for the solutions. Number 7, graph the following equations, find m and b by isolating y. First by isolating y. So here, I don't have it in slope-intercept form, so I can't graph it. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where you have the slope, and b is your y-intercept. So I'm going to have to do some solving first to get y alone. Right now I have a 2x added on. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And I'm left with y alone equals. Here I'm going to put the negative 2x term first, because that's how it goes in this equation. So negative 2x and then plus 5. So now it's in the right format. And I know that negative 2 is my m value. And positive 5 is my b value. So this positive 5 means that's my y-intercept. That's where it goes through the y-axis. So I'm going to put a dot at 5. And then I use the slope of negative 2. So remember, slope is rise over run. And I have negative 2. I'm going to put it over 1 just because every number can be over 1. So I'm going to rise negative 2 and go over 1. Run 1. Down negative 2 over 1. Down negative 2 over 1. Down negative 2 and over 1. When you have about 4 points, you can draw in your line. So this is what that line would look like graphed. Number 8. I already have y isolated. This is good. So now I just need to write in what the slope and y-intercept are. In front of this x, there's an invisible 1. So if I'm going with the rise over run, it can be 1 over 1. So my slope is 1. My y-intercept is negative 3. So to start, we put a dot at the y-intercept at negative 3 on the y-axis. That's here. And then my slope is rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. You have quite a bit of points. Go ahead and draw a line. And there it is.